Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to...
Mr. Speaker, the chief accuser of his former teacher, Professor Kindiki, is his student, the Senator of Muranga, Kangata. Mr. Speaker, I actually kind of like what Kangata is doing. Because, Mr. Speaker, the country has been waiting with bated breath to know what is this big mistake the son of the Ameru has done. And, Mr. Speaker, it will be wrong, Mr. Speaker, for us to rush. I don't agree with Senator Sakaja that we must rush, Mr. Speaker, and just vote, because perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we are haunted by our conscience and the shame that comes with the things we are about to do. Mr. Speaker, allow the mover. I am of the opinion that, Mr. Speaker, allow the mover to parade his, Mr. Speaker, evidence before the public, because even though we are in these chambers, the Senate itself is on trial. So let the people know, Mr. Speaker, when later senior counsels in this House who are 3, and people who call themselves the fighters of democracy, people who are senior, when they finally vote,
Senator Murkomen,
let Kenyans know they are voting because
Senator Murkomen,
a senator failed to attend their meeting, Mr. Speaker, that has not been substantiated.
Senator Murkomen, you know, you are making provocative statements, and when they respond, you say you are being abused. Please, let us respect each other. When you say those who call themselves the so-called, let us avoid that kind of
I did not, Mr. Speaker. I am very careful. I had your communication, Mr. Speaker. I am very careful not to mention any person's name, Mr. Speaker.
Just order, Senator. Order, Senator Orengo. Just a minute. I also want to assure you that I also went to school, and properly. So I can also be able to...
I have heard, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, except that I'm still waiting for your ruling over the last 1 week, Mr. Speaker, despite the assurance you have given me in the chambers.
Senator Orengo, what's your point of view?
Mr. Speaker, let us have an orderly debate. It would appear that the Senate is going to confine to the contribution of one senator. And if you look at the time we have taken and assign who has spoken, if we go that route, then even we will not be able to deal with the substance. I appeal with you, Mr. Speaker, that let other senators have a chance. If there's a point of order, let somebody cite the particular point of order so that it is specific. But I think we are raising points which are not necessarily points of order.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, would it be in order to rule both Senator Sakaja and Senator Murkomen out of order? Because the mover of the motion, it is upon him to define how convincing it can be, because what he's doing is to convince us as members of the Senate to agree or disagree with his motion. So a call for him to truncate or a call for him to elongate is completely out of order. It is for Senator Irungu Kangata to determine the most convincing tone and approach. Mr. Speaker, I beg.
Senator, order, Senator Sakaja. Senator Kangata, proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm about to conclude. I'll just say 2 things, Mr. Speaker, sir. Number 1, we hold several positions in this Senate pursuant to confidence of the party. And my party leader, the party that I belong, Jubilee Coalition, wants the best for this country. I'm not bringing this motion because I have a personal issue with my brother, Professor. No, I do not have any personal issue with Professor. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, when I got these instructions from the party to withdraw the confidence from Professor, I sent emissaries to him. I told him, is there a way you can try to talk with the party to restore confidence to it? Mr. Speaker, sir, after those emissaries got back to me, we got an engagement with Professor. And we talked with Professor for fairly almost 1 hour. I told him, Mr. Professor, you are my teacher. I'm not bringing this motion as Kangata, no. I'm bringing this motion as a majority whip. If there's a way you can talk out this issue with the party, I have no problem. Mr. Speaker, sir, Professor told me he would want a written document from the party. But to me, that's neither here or there. When the party was appointing him to that or supporting him for that position, he did not give him a letter. Jubilee did not frame any reason as to why they gave him that position. It was an issue on confidence. I will end with these words. President Uhuru Kenyatta,
The Speaker, point of order.
allow me to finish.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Let him
before
order Senator Murkomen. Order Senator
If
Murkomen.
he concludes, Mr. Speaker, I will not. If he concludes,
Order. I'll give you an opportunity. Let
but
us.
if he concludes, Mr. Speaker, it will not be point of order.
No, let him.
It won't be a point of order.
He is not
Mr. Speaker,
Okay.
please.
Okay. What's your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kangata to, Mr. Speaker, several times refer to a decision of the party to remove Senator Kindiki? In fact, several times saying that the party has lost confidence, the party has decided. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kangata to make allegations that Mr. Speaker he cannot substantiate? Because most of us who are members of the party here are not aware of any party meeting, whether it's a National Executive Committee, whether it's PG, that made a decision.
Don't
Mr.
drag.
Speaker, but
yes,
that's a very fundamental point of order, Mr. Speaker, because the public is watching.
I know. Please, don't drag the Speaker into party issues.
But the party issues are the basis of the decision that is being made on the floor of the House.
Okay, but don't drag me into those issues, Senator Murkomen. Let him conclude. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I've asked for Kangata to substantiate, not you, the Speaker.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, what's your point of information, Senator Sakaja? Then Senator Rengo.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that Senator Kangata has allowed to be informed and that even accepted my plea for truncation. Mr. Speaker, the first thing I'd like to inform the House and Senator Kangata is that when he says that the party lacks confidence, the party in this House is represented by senators who are in Jubilee Party. Raphael Tuju is not voting in this House, or anybody else out there. So when he says party, he is rightly in order to say that the members here actually don't have that confidence. Mr. Speaker, secondly, because you said that this is the first removal of a deputy speaker and there is no precedent. Mr. Speaker, we have comparative jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 17th April 2019, Crispin Blunt in the House of Commons had a motion to remove my friend, the former Speaker of the House of Commons, Bekro. Mr. Speaker, that motion had no reason. He just said impartiality and did not even go into depth. And that's why I'm telling Senator Kangata, the more you talk, the more you're giving Murkomen things to talk about. Let us finish and go ahead with it, Mr. Speaker. That precedent is there. We follow the Commonwealth tradition, Mr. Speaker, and that really must be how we move along with this. So the party is represented in this House by 39 senators in Jubilee, and the minority party is represented by a number of senators. So we're not talking about party elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. So I hold and I still urge Senator Kangata, please.
Senator Rengo, what's your point?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform Senator Kangata that in as much as you are being harangued that there was no party meeting, it is in the public knowledge that the distinguished Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, with others, filed a case in the High Court challenging the Jubilee Party and KANU as to whether or not there was a party meeting. And there were responses to that case, but subsequently they have withdrawn that case, which means that what they placed before the court had no standing. Secondly, there was another case that was taken to the tribunal by the Honorable Senator from Nakuru, challenging the party Jubilee. That case, born of the same facts, was thrown away by the tribunal on the basis that what they presented before the court had no standing. And finally, Mr. Speaker, now that Senator Sakaja has given information to Senator Sakaja in relation to motions of this nature, I myself have moved a motion of no confidence on the Republic of Kenya, on the government of the Republic of Kenya. Senator Kangata's motion is even longer. Mine was just one line, that the House resolves that it has no confidence in the government of the Republic of Kenya. It was the only ever motion moved and it was as brief as that. Secondly, I moved a motion against Speaker Kaparo on the basis of standing orders which have not changed much. And again, I was not required to give reasons, and the motion met the requirements of the standing orders. So I wish to inform Senator Kangata.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he has referred to me, and it's important. Mr. Speaker,
I thought it was information to Kangata.
No, but there is a point of order, Mr. Speaker, on the question of the cases that refer to me, because if it goes to the record of the House, it's not a true record. Mr. Speaker, the decision of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal made it abundantly clear, Mr. Speaker, that the coalition agreement between KANU and Jubilee is null and void. That decision was served on you, Mr. Speaker, and you informed the House that you will give a detailed ruling why you allowed changes in leadership in this House despite that ruling. So, Mr. Speaker, that is totally misleading.
Senator Ochilo.
Thank you. I would like to inform Senator Kangata that the standing orders that talk about removal of the Deputy Speaker is a carryover of the past order. And the past order, we used to call it motion of no confidence. Actually, the reason you have stated that Jubilee Party is withdrawing its confidence on Professor Kindiki is the reason. You need to enjoy political confidence to be able to preside over a house of this kind, to be able to represent or to be a delegate of a party of the magnitude of Jubilee. So the main reason is, does Jubilee, for whatever reason, have confidence in the person against whom they are withdrawing that confidence? And I think that is sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kangata, conclude.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I conclude with these words, that parties are very central to Kenyan democracy. Article 4, sub-article 2 of the Constitution says that Kenya is a multi-party democracy. And therefore, I myself, as a chief whip, we must be allowed to give confidence and to withdraw confidence to those who don't follow the party lines. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, President Uhuru, as our party leader, has a certain manifesto, which every person who is in this seat and getting a certain position ought to follow. And I'm here to support that cause together with my party leader, party majority leader, Pogisio. And I urge those of us who belong to Jubilee Coalition, please, toe the party line, ensure President Uhuru Kenyatta achieves his vision. And we must ensure, as the political vehicle in this House, we support his agenda and his legacy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Who is the second?
My seconder is Minority Chief Whip, my brother Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Yes, Whip.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to second this motion. And Mr. Speaker, for the record, it's important that the matters of law that have been raised are settled. The Fair Administrative Act is in front of me, Mr. Speaker, and in the making of this law, Mr. Speaker, we were all here. Professor Kindiki was the majority leader then. We did not subject the removal of the Deputy Speaker, or for that matter, the Speaker, or any person to this act. That I must say on record. Number two, for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, I think for the reasons why, when you look at the Constitution, Article 106, and the standing orders, where this is a special motion, the reason why I think, and it's my opinion, there are no reasons, is because the position and the motion we are moving is of a member who will continue sitting in this House after the motion. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is important that that person who is going to continue sitting, who is holding a position, continues sitting in this House after a motion of this nature has been moved. And that is the position of a Deputy Speaker. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, it's not a coincidence that this motion is being moved by the leaders. We are warning ourselves, me included, that the seat I occupy as minority whip, that seat belongs to the coalition. And I must, in all cases, in the trust bestowed upon me by that coalition, continue advocating for the obligations, rights, and wishes of that coalition. Once that trust is done, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing this House can do to a person who has lost trust of his political party. It sounds like a death knell, but it's a fact. The premium, Mr. Speaker, for these positions we occupy is loyalty to the cause. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, our friend, Professor Kindiki, finds himself in this position. Mr. Speaker, it's not also a coincidence that Article 106 put such a high threshold. And I want to mention that as I sit, because I will not get into the details that Senator Kangata did, because a lot of us are not party to those issues. And I strongly believe those are not issues that all of us ought to get into. Professor Kithure Kindiki, and any person occupying that position under Article 106, Mr. Speaker, must be able to show that he has the confidence of the House. And that is the reason there's a 2/3 membership. And that membership, Mr. Speaker, is a membership of the majority and minority. It's a simple thing. Votes of confidence all over the world, Mr. Speaker, are not personal. So nobody carries a personal agenda against Professor Kindiki. None of us, Mr. Speaker, are questioning his competence. None of us, Mr. Speaker, including myself, is conducting a trial. I would have great difficulties if we were conducting a trial. Since we are not conducting a trial, we did not conduct any recruitment of either you, the Speaker, or the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Speaker. You were elected politically. You were brought here politically. You persuaded the majority to elect you politically, and therefore you must persuade the majority to continue remaining in office politically. There's no other question. There's no middle ground, and that is the end of it. Mr. Speaker, to say that this is momentous, it is. We have rarely had a motion of this nature or even passed any constitutional motion that requires 2/3. The fact that this motion has reached this far should tick the mind of Professor Kindiki. What is it that you have done to this membership that would cause so many of them to allow this motion to reach at this stage? Now I'm talking to your conscience, because these decisions are about your conscience. It's not omissions or commissions. It's confidence in this House. You will sit with us here after this motion, whether you removed or not. But ask yourself these questions as you go along. The overtures you are offered, Senator Kindiki, should have informed your decision. Since you didn't take them, the vote of confidence will be taken, and you will see it for yourself what it means, Mr. Speaker, to have a motion of this nature. Therefore, allow me to quote Churchill, because this is politics, and politics has no form. And this is what he had to say. And I say this to Professor Kindiki, my friend. Politics is the ability to foretell what is going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, and to have the ability to explain why it didn't happen. You know what has befell you, Professor Kindiki. I support the motion. Thank you.
Honorable Senators.
Sorry, I second.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question, which is that the Senate resolves that Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGHMP, be removed from the office of the Deputy Speaker of the Senate. Senator Cherargei. He's come.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Rose?
Mr. Speaker, I think this debate may raise a lot of interest, and I'm just wondering if there is a time limit on the debate, Mr. Speaker.
How do people?
Mr. Speaker, how do I make my interest known to you if I want to contribute, Mr. Speaker, to the motion? Is it by pressing?
Yeah, you'll press. You'll press. Then I will note on my paper.
When we press, Mr. Speaker, the mic comes. It doesn't show.
Yeah, it comes. I will note.
Okay.
3 minutes. Except the leaders, I'll give the leaders 5 minutes each. Senator Cherargei. Yeah,
okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. I've had my brother, Senator Kangata, who is a State House appointee of the majority side, saying that our brother, Senator, Deputy Speaker, Senator.
What's your point of order, Senator Stewart Mazayo?
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, umetuambia katika uamuzi wako ya kwamba tusitumie maneno ambayo yatakuwa aidha yanadharau ama yanaweza kuudhi mtu. Na mimi ninavyoelewa ni kwamba, tafadhali Murkomen, kama mimi naongea, it's only fair if you keep quiet. I'm on a point of order. Bwana Spika, taratibu ni kwamba, na tunavyoelewa, Senator Kangata ni seneta wa Murang'a. Lakini sasa tukiambiwa kwamba Senator Kangata ni either ni mfanyikazi ama ni mtumishi wa State House, hiyo sisi hatuelewi. Kama ni hivyo, basi ni mtu ambaye hatakani kuketi hapa. Kama anaketi State House, amekuja kufanya nini ndani ya bunge la Senate? Na alichaguliwa na watu wa Murang'a. Kwa hiyo mimi nauliza tu, je, ni sawa sawa ikiwa ndugu yangu, mdogo wangu ambaye ni rafiki yangu, Cherargei, anaweza kutumia lugha kama hiyo?
Sio sawa sawa. Nataka niulize, I want to appeal your honorable members, please don't force me into, taking action that I should not take. You can still communicate, you can convey your message without necessarily getting into all those unnecessary jargon and whatever. Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think he misunderstood me, and I can see Senator Kangata is excited because it knows the weight of being referred as a State House appointee. Because as a majority leader, we never sat to elect him. So I'm told it was through chai and mandazization that
Senator Cherargei, order, Senator. No. Senator Cherargei, please, you are out of order. Please, you are out of order. Let's not get into those. Please, make your point, please.
But Mr. Speaker, you need also to protect me because I can see people.
No, but I'm protecting you. That's why
Mr. Speaker, you should allow me to be listened to. I can see people shouting across the aisle, especially people.
Make your point, Senator Cherargei.
In the next few minutes, I want to say this. One is that I oppose this motion because it is illegal, it is immoral, it is even ungodly. Professor Kithure Kindiki not only has distinguished himself as a legal scholar, but has ably made rulings that have been even referred by other jurisdictions. Professor Kindiki, having served as the majority leader of then TNA and URB, and now as the deputy speaker of this house, has done very well. This political conmanship and persecution and scheming that continues, Mr. Speaker, across the political majority side.
Order, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, we are all being listened to. And Mr. Speaker, you have heard Cherargei say that we are discussing political conmanship, an illegal and immoral motion. Mr. Speaker, if we are if we allow one member to talk like that, would I be in order to also say that you will expand the debate and we talk about others' immorality? Would it be okay if we engage in such verbiage? Mr. Speaker, I request that you enforce your ruling that will be of decorum, because if the other side starts, or some people start talking the way they are doing, we have some very hot-blooded members on either side, and this thing is going to be nasty, and it's going to be shameful to the House.
Senator Cherargei, I want to caution you for the last time that there are statements that you can make in political rallies, funerals, or other places. This is a house of respect and integrity. Please make your point and stick to language that is parliamentary. I'm asking you.
Mr. Speaker, what I was just simply saying is that this moral does not meet even the threshold or principles of natural justice. Professor Kindiki, despite the fact that they are leveling accusations, I have heard even, it is shocking even to this country, that the state of Senator Kangata can challenge your rulings. It doesn't mean who sits in that seat. Even speaker panelists who sit there and make rulings, they are sanctified. Those rulings are very serious. So it has exposed to country that there is a specific way of ensuring that they persecute individuals based on political affiliation or inclination for the expediency. And I want to say this, Mr. Speaker, sir, that if this House makes either reason, either to retain or remove Professor Kithure Kindiki, it will determine the future of this House as a Senate and as Parliament. And if today Professor Kithure Kindiki is being prosecuted and removed as the Deputy Speaker of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, sir, if it goes ahead and we remove him, then we will lack both moral and legal and legislative roles that we have had as a House. Mr. Speaker, it's so disappointing that people, even I chair the legal, courtesy of the majority side, but that one is not a privilege, it is a right. Why do we make it that members who sit in leadership position appear that it's the privilege and prerogative of the party? It is not. And that is why as Jubilee will not allow impunity, worship of demigods within the party to continue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What's your point of order, Senator Khaniri?
Mr. Speaker, I want you to make a ruling on this because I know for sure that all motions that come on the floor of this House are approved by the Speaker of the House. The Honorable Senator Fernandi has made an allegation that the motion being debated now is illegal and immoral. Mr. Speaker, if we leave this on the record of this House, then it will mean that the Speaker of the Senate approved an illegal and immoral motion and presided over the same. Mr. Speaker, I think it is absolutely important that the member withdraws those words so that they're expunged from our records. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to state clearly that we are not discussing the qualifications, the integrity of my age mate, Senator Kithure Kindiki. We have been told clearly that Kindiki was sponsored to this position by a party called Jubilee because they had confidence in him. They have since lost confidence in him, the sponsoring party. We are not debating his integrity, his capabilities. We are not. We are saying the party that sponsored him says that they have lost confidence in him. So is he in order to start debating Professor Kithure Kindiki's integrity?
Senator Cherargei, I want to appeal to you that irrespective of what your emotions are, please remember that what some of the things you're saying really border on challenging the office of the Speaker. So can you wind up and so that we are able to move?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think I clarified that this motion in itself, I think my good neighbor was not listening. is that does not even adhere to principles of natural justice. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of confidence of the party, I can confirm to this House and Kenyans and 8 million plus Jubilee members across the country that we have never, as the senators of majority, either sat either virtually through Zoom meeting or any other form or in person to endorse any changes that we have lost confidence in Professor Kithure Kindiki as Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a party, we will not allow some of us who are in Jubilee that these issues of impunity and political witch hunt should be prosecuted in a specific way. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge my colleagues. I can see across the aisle that this decision is not about the individualism. This decision is about the future of this House. You know, this House is facing a lot of dangers, Mr. Speaker. And I can confirm to you, if we allow this impunity to go on and use rubber stamp as the minority side, if this continues to happen, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm to you that it is not going to stop here. You will be giving license to the party owners from wherever you come so that they can continue purging you politically. And for us, we are saying a luta continua. I oppose this motion in loudest terms possible. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ochila yako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Jubilee is the organization that the public gave the mandate to run this nation. And in order for Jubilee to run this nation, Jubilee has vested their trust in one leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta. The leader of Jubilee also happens to be the CEO of the nation. Us who are on this side, our work is to persuade Jubilee to deliver to our people and oppose Jubilee when we think that Jubilee is transgressing. Now, Mr. Speaker, in order for our people to receive services, we want a functional Jubilee. So if Jubilee has come to this House and claimed, and we believe them, that their functionality is being affected by any person they think is disloyal, that if that person was withdrawn from their rank, then they would deliver to us. That has persuaded me, and I beg to support this motion.
Senator Kihika. Yeah, in the meantime, I don't see any here. Senator Ochilo, not Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, the Jubilee Coalition has told us that they've lost confidence in one of their members who has served this House diligently as a Deputy Speaker. The question is whether the House agrees with the Jubilee Coalition. Does the House have confidence in Kithure Kindiki? And that's the reason why this decision could not be taken at the parliamentary group meeting at State House or wherever it was taken. That decision has been brought to us. And it is now upon us to reflect and make that decision, a decision that will not break this House. Mr. Speaker, Professor Kindiki Kithure, the man, is a fine gentleman. I have followed him in many aspects of his life. He went to Lenana School, and I went there after him. He went to Moi University, I went there after him. He came to the Senate, and I came to the Senate after him. Today his head is on the chopping block. I hope that I will not follow him there. But I want to encourage Professor Kindiki to go back to the scriptures that he's very fond of and reflect on the story of Pontius Pilate, given the responsibility to make a decision between Barabbas, the common thief, and Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I have always asked myself, what happened to Barabbas after he was released? Nobody knows what happened to Barabbas. He went into oblivion. But Jesus Christ, who was crucified, everybody remembers him. Professor Kindiki, you have served us for the duration that you have done. You have served us well. Your party has lost confidence in you. That is a point at which we say that the center cannot hold and things fall apart. The future is bright. You will continue being a member with us here in case the House also resolves it has no confidence in you. But I must say that while he sat on that chair, he made certain rulings, certain precedents that have strengthened this House. Mr. Speaker, let us finish this thing so that we can go back to the fight against COVID, fight against poverty, and let us set a good example for county assemblies to emulate. We have been blaming our assemblies for leadership changes every other day. Let us not degenerate to the level that we have been condemning in the assemblies. Mr. Speaker, because the center cannot hold, because things have fallen apart, I support the motion.
Senator Susan Kihika.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I first wanted to talk, it was more of a point of order, but since it takes quite a while to get here, I'll just do my contribution to the motion. But also for the record, it's important that I correct that the minority leader of the House, Senator James Orengo, misled the House. He misled the House when he stated that when he brought a motion back in '96 against Kaparo, that he did not give any grounds or any reasons for the removal, for the censure. And I have that answered here in front of me, and it is clear that he gave grounds. So it's a travesty, and it is just immoral that we have a motion in this House here today to remove the very distinguished Senator, Professor Kindiki, without having any grounds. It's also very clear from the standing orders, Mr. Speaker. The Standing Order 96, paragraph 4, no senator shall impute improper motive or any other senator or to a member of the National Assembly except upon a specific substantive motion of which at least 3 days' notice has been given, calling in question the conduct of that senator or member of the Assembly. It's very clear here what we are doing. We are moving forward with the removal of the Deputy Speaker of this House. So it was imperative and important that the motion that was brought here today by the Senator from Murang'a have the grounds for removal. And as I stated earlier, when Senator Orengo did his to Kaparo, he stated, he had on the motion that the rulings Kaparo had made were in error. So it's inaccurate and improper to say that you can just bring a motion, Mr. Speaker, to remove the Deputy Speaker without any grounds. So I really needed that for the record, because we have become a House that's just a useless House, if I may use the word, but I know they will jump with standing orders. Okay, let me rephrase it.
Yeah, yes, Senator Susan.
We have become a House that is controlled from other chambers, from other areas, from other places. And the most unfortunate thing is, myself growing up, some of the senators that I looked up to, who were the defenders of human rights and other things in this country, are now the ones that are presiding or helping move this madness forward, where you can have the removal of a very competent Deputy Speaker without any reasons. But anyway, I'm sure you all will do whatever you will do. You will vote whichever way you will vote, because you carry brief for whoever you carry brief for. But I stand here today to say that some of us, whether we are 2 or 5 or 10, we shall continue to fight on, and we shall not allow the dictatorship that this country is quickly just becoming a dictatorship. And unfortunately, Senator Orengo, you fought so many battles to get away from that. But thanks to you, we are quickly moving that direction. But it is okay. Maybe we shall have the third, maybe we shall move forward, and we shall be the ones to now lead this next part, in not just being part of the axis of evil that is happening here today. It also says a lot that as we call into question the competency, I don't know, because again, we had no grounds for this motion. I've heard the Senator of Murang'a make some, in his moving notes, talk about a few things here, and others who we thought were such defenders of democracy stand up and try to have him just proceed. And it is because most of you cannot look at yourselves in the mirror, and that is why you do not want to have any reasons as you remove this very competent man. You just are carrying brief, and that's okay. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I oppose this motion.
There's a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Kihika doesn't have a seat to take, so today we'll offend the rules. Mr. Speaker.
No, I can't sit. You said I can't sit where it doesn't say sit.
Other senators. continue in these extraordinary times, I will allow her to stand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I understand the passion and the, manner in which Senator Kika is speaking. But Mr. Speaker, this is a house of rules. And certain things in our standing orders are being offended. Number one, when this house has been called useless, and the senator has said that she's rephrasing it, actually what should be done is withdrawing, because it cannot remain on the record of this house that a senator has expressed the uselessness of where she sits, because that speaks to many things. Number two, Mr. Speaker, when imputing improper motive by saying that the senators here who are leading this country into dictatorship, and the senators here actually were part of the axis of evil, Mr. Speaker, that also goes against our standing orders in imputing improper motive on colleagues. Mr. Speaker, while we allow the passionate expression of heart and whatever might be coming out, I urge you to ask that those words are withdrawn, because they will forever remain on the record of this house. But her opinions are rightfully her opinions, and she can express them, Mr. Speaker. I ask that you rule that our rules are followed with respect to those two issues that she has done.
I leave her to her conscience, because she serves this house. She's a member of this house, and she knows what. I leave it to her conscience. That's all that I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So anyway, as we leave here today, whatever the decision that we shall make as a house, I oppose this motion. And let me say, as I sit or as I walk away, that Senator Kindiki, Professor Kindiki, has served this house with distinction. He is a man of honor in a house that does not value that. He is a man who is extremely competent, and I'm sure we shall not be able to see that as we move forward. But that's okay. That's the decision that we shall have to make here today.
Senator, your time.
1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Speaker. I was interrupted with the many points of order.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is a motion that is quite vile, dishonorable, and I hope that in future we can focus on fighting corona, the poverty that is in our country, instead of hiding behind corona to use dictatorship to remove people from office. I oppose this motion. Thank you.
Senator Mwaura.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have known Professor Kithure Kindiki since the year 2005. When
what's your point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, when I rose and questioned what is going on, there is a very dangerous precedent that is being set, Mr. Speaker. Standing orders 96, 1, 2, and 3 are clear about content of speeches, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, when a senator offends the standing order, and we leave it to someone's conscience, Mr. Speaker, are we saying that then these standing orders are suggestions, or are we going to follow standing orders?
Senator Sakaja, I have made a ruling on that matter. What you are now doing is also challenging the Speaker, which is out of order. Senator Mwaura, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I knew Professor Kithure Kindiki way back in the year 2005. That time he was a doctor at Moi University, when we were working together on a project on human rights for people with disabilities with the York University. I'm sure Professor can remember that. And I greatly admired him. Later on, I could see him making commentaries on TV on various political and legal issues. And all of that, to the extent that therefore, in the 11th Parliament, we were able to meet in the House. And Professor Kindiki, if you see him on the floor of the House, you can see he's actually at peace, actually, with himself, because he has actually conducted himself in a very, honorable manner. And he also has not forgotten his pedagogy, because when senators speak, he almost wants to award marks. He would say, well, very well, you've spoken very well here and there, just to show that actually he's still having his eyes on the academy. And Mr. Speaker, you know, since I joined politics, I've come to see that politics really is the art of the possible, is who gets what, where, and how. In fact, it is, according to me, some form of amorphous formlessness. It is the informality that constitutes the formal. And so therefore, there are no really clear rules. Because, for example, there is no way you can explain how an individual A would vote for an individual B and not individual C. There is no guarantee, there is no threshold, it's just a choice. And again, in politics, there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies, only interests. Now, the late minority leader, Francis Nyenze, told me when I joined Parliament, that time we had CORD and the Jubilee coalition of TNA and URP, and CORD of Wiper, ODM, and Fort Kenya and others. And he told me that, Mwaura, within 6 months, you will start seeing people changing their political allegiances. These things we are calling here will change. And indeed, he was vindicated. It is the same thing that we are also seeing in this 12th Parliament. Interests have changed, and a lot have changed. And I would want to say, just for purposes of record and transparency, that some of us, as Senator Kangata alluded to, we are very much involved in ensuring that we do not come to this decision. And Senator James Orengo, you can bear me witness, and Senator Njeru Ndwiga and others. We really tried to ensure that indeed there is a pathway that would ensure that an alternative, that the party confidence on the part of Professor Kithure Kindiki is actually restored, is actually perpetuated, so that we can continue to enjoy his contributions and his presiding over this House. And I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you agree that he's been very helpful to you. But having said that, I think there comes a time where decisions have to be made because it's a matter of procedure. It is actually true, Mr. Speaker, that there is always this question about how parliamentary positions are filled, whether a party has the right to de-whip a member from a committee or a position of privilege, because all of us who hold any position in a committee or the House leadership are a result of the numbers. It's a game of numbers. It's a game of you are actually placed, you know, where you are supposed to be. And that is the case. But then when it comes to removal, it's always a question of, is there an independence of Parliament in that regard? So maybe in the future of our standing orders is something we want to canvass, because we are actually evolving democracy, to see to it that then you actually mediate that process. You know, you interlocute that process so that then it is actually neater and you're able to do much more. So Professor Kindiki, as I conclude, because I can see the yellow line is there, I want to leave you with these words. In politics, your future allies are your current nemesis, and your current allies are your future detractors. In the end, what matters is that you arrived at your desired goal and position, and both friend and foe, ally and the alienated, we reckon you are fan in their flame. Keep going. Thank you.
Senator Kabaka.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity you've given me to also air my views with regard to these important motion. I won't repeat what other people have said. It's very interesting, and it is the very heavy heart that as humans being, we have to subject some of our colleagues to exigencies of the game of politics. I was just thinking that as a lawyer in this house, I've come to realize that what we've learned in school of law and what we have taught in universities is not actually what happens in the parliament. in Parliament is a different ball game. It's very interesting that a man of impeccable academic prowess, Professor of International Law, Professor Kindiki, has to sit here and be subjected to lectures by honorable senators, some who can also be students with the due respect. But what do we do? This has come to analogy which happened in South Africa sometimes, where a sitting president had to be recalled by his own political party. That was none other than Thabo Mbeki. That's the time I started to learn politics. And this is exactly what is happening here. It's not a question of academic meritocracy. It's not a question of professorship. Whether you went to ICC even to represent people, that's not the consideration here, Professor. This is a game of politics. And it's a question of numbers. When we are told also to append signatures, people, we also do what we call soul searching. Like in my case, as a senator of Machakos, I've taught with Professor Kindiki in various universities together, more so in particular, Kenyatta University. And I remember in 2013, both of us resigned to venture in this game of politics. Least did we know that things can fall apart. Very interesting. Professor Kindiki was lucky, 2013 you got the seat and you came to Senate. Kabaka, I didn't get it, somebody else got. But here we are today as friends. Because of the party politics, which is the hallmark of this game of politics. Because of party politics, Professor Kindiki, you happen to belong, lucky enough you happen to belong to the greatest political parties and the ruling party, Jubilee. It has its own benefits, and it's the same benefit which you derived when pursuant of Article 106 to C, I mean 1B and C, which applied. You are elected as a position, not of the Senate, position of a deputy speaker, together with even the speaker or other speakers even in the other house, National Assembly, through the goodwill of the political party, which is Jubilee. So I don't see, in terms of politics, without putting moral turpitude, that absolutely the political party has a right to recall you. And if it has decided that they want to put somebody else, who are we? Who are we? It's a question of ganging numbers, and we put you, where was, when 1789 in French Revolution, the guy, I wish Senator Tangula was around as a great historian. He will tell you that a person who designed the guillotine, a guillotine, after the he was the third person to be chopped. Absolutely. We are chopping you now, and I'm sure even in our side, I hear rumors we are also about also to be chopped. I know soon it will be Kabaka to be chopped, or Mutula or somebody else. So there is no, it is the right thing. In fact, if I were you, I would have even actually signed a memo to His Excellency the President, the party leader, and you should have exited longer than subjecting us to this afternoon game. I should be elsewhere teaching my children how to do assignment. So I support Mr. Speaker. Next time if the guillotine come to Kabaka, so be it. Thank you. I support.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, mimi nataka kuunga mkono kwa kusema na kuweza kumweleza.
A point of order. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Mr. Speaker, there's a concern about how we are wearing our masks. Could you please reiterate the rules that we must wear our masks and cover our noses? The public are watching, and I think what we are doing is what they should do out there when they're in the streets. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, let's, I know it's a bit uncomfortable, but let's try. Senator Mazayo.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, Kindiki ni rafiki yangu, ndugu yangu, ni shemegi yangu. Lakini kwa mambo ya siasa, nafikiria yeye amesoma zaidi vitabu, mpaka kafika level ya kuwa profesa. Lakini kwa upande wa siasa, nafikiria kidogo alinoga. Lakini hayo ya kijiri, mimi nataka kusema kwamba kuna filosofa mmoja aliyeishi zamani, na yeye pia alikuwa msomi, alikuwa kitwa Micheveli. Na mimi nilikuwa kila siku nikisema hii, kwamba ikiwa wewe umechaguliwa, ama ikiwa wewe umeandikwa kazi, usiwe mwerevu kuliko yule bosi wako. Micheveli alisema hiyo katika mambo ya utawala na mambo ya madaraka, wanaita principles of power. Na vile vile ni kwamba ukiambiwa usiwe mwerevu kuliko bosi wako, wewe unaweza kuwa umesoma sana. Kama najua Professor Kindiki amesoma sana, na pengine bosi wake hakufika elimu kama hiyo. Lakini sio sababu ya kwamba bosi akikwambia fanya hivi, wewe unakuwa unatumia akili yako. Mimi natoka katika chama cha ODM, na ni lazima nikiwa nitaheshimu, mtu wa kwanza lazima niheshimu ni Raila Amolo Odinga. Na alafu kitu cha pili ni lazima niheshimu pati yangu. Vile pati yangu inanielekeza, ni lazima niangalie na nifate mkondo wake. Nikikosa kufata hiyo, basi ni kama ambaye mimi nataka kuachana na hicho chama na nitafute njia ya kwenda. Na kule nitakako kwenda, sijui kama ni kuzuri ama ni kubaya. Manake wanasema ya kwamba unaweza kuacha kuzuri ukifikiria kule kuzuri ndio kuzuri zaidi, ukaenda kukuta ndio kubaya zaidi kuliko kule umetoka. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka tukusema ya kwamba ama kumpatia wasia ndugu yangu. Na nataka kumpatia wasia huu kwa imani kuu, na kwamba yeye afunge huu usia wangu kwenye vidole vyake. Aitunze huu usia wangu kama mboni ya macho yake, ya kwamba ukiangalia mbele kama ni siasa, wewe ni lazima ufate mkondo wa maji. Tunaona mafloods yanapiga katika Kenya. Ule mkondo wa maji ukiwa unaenda, yale maji vile yanateremka yanabeba kila kitu, yanabeba miti, kila kitu. Kwa hiyo wewe sasa umejipata katika panda hiyo. Hivi sasa utazama, lakini kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa kupika. Kwa hiyo ndugu yangu, mimi nataka kusema ya kwamba sisi kwa upande wa coalition ya NASA haikukuleta hapa na hayo makosa. Makosa hayo yameletwa na chama chako hapa mbele. Kwa hiyo ni jukumu lako sasa ujukumike kuchukua hii punishment ambayo utapewa sasa. Lakini ukumbuke kuna leo na kesho, na tukuombea kila laheri. Na mimi sina budi bali kuunga mkono jadala huu. Asante.
Senator Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, allow me to make a few comments on this very important motion. And Mr. Speaker, to start with, I want to be very clear. I am opposing this motion. Mr. Speaker, I'm not here to defend my friend, Professor Kindiki, for he may walk his head high, knowing that he is innocent and diligent, even if persecuted so cruelly. The evil that this House does lives after us, Mr. Speaker. long will it be remembered that this Senate, sworn to defend the Constitution and its institutions, betrayed the Republic in exchange for the meanest comfort. Mr. Speaker, the credibility of this House as the watchdog of public interest, defender of our institutions, and guardian of the rule of law has dramatically and tragically collapsed. Mr. Speaker, the usurpers of our Constitution have not laid any charge to back this disgraceful onslaught, but allege that the affected member of this House has been disloyal. Indefatigable stalwarts who have given their all to the cause, leaders who staked their careers on the daunting struggle to build and protect Jubilee and its government, men and women who stood with our abandoned, besieged, and maligned leaders, party leader and deputy party leader, a time of tribulation at home and abroad, members who have fought tooth and nail for the presidency over 3 electoral contests, servants who unflinchingly stewarded government business successfully through this House, time without number. Today, these people are now being insulted, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order,
as
Senator?
Disloyal.
There's a point of order, Senator Murkomen.
I rise on a point of order to bring it to your attention that the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet is in breach of our standing orders, and in particular, Standing Order number 90. Mr. Speaker, the provision of Standing Order number 90 are very clear, and it states that number 90, paragraph 1, no senator shall read a speech, but a senator may read short extracts from written and printed papers in support of an argument. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that my very good friend, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet...
Relax, let him finish.
My very good friend, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, is reading a speech. He's not debating, he's reading a speech. That is prohibited by our standing orders.
Senator Murkomen, observe Standing Order number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Don't read a speech.
So, Mr. Speaker, today these people are being insulted as disloyal and viciously haunted by captive party. Today, the House has been asked to ratify the injustice. So, Mr. Speaker, I am not here to mourn the fate of my friend, Professor Kindiki, because nothing, Mr. Speaker, and I repeat, nothing can harm a good man in life or in death. I grieve and mourn the deterioration of our democracy. Mr. Speaker, I mourn the serial assassination of our independent institutions, Mr. Speaker, and their replacement with shells, ghosts, and zombies, Mr. Speaker. We know, Mr. Speaker, the argument has been made that Professor Kindiki is disloyal. Mr. Speaker, the epicenter of this motion is that Professor Kindiki has been disloyal. Mr. Speaker, there is no evidence that has been presented in this House to demonstrate that lack of loyalty. Indeed, I served for second half of last term as the deputy to Senator Kindiki, deputy majority leader. And no motion was lost in this House. No government motion was lost in this House. Mr. Speaker, even the first time when I served in the Speaker's panel, no motion was lost by Senator Kindiki in this House as majority leader. Mr. Speaker, as the Speaker of this House, Senator Kindiki distinguished himself as a very committed scholar, Mr. Speaker, determined to protect the institution of the Senate. In fact, from that chair, Mr. Speaker, a number of decisions of the Deputy Speaker have been so weighty that, Mr. Speaker, has been cited by the Court of Appeal and other jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, those who tell us today that Senator Kindiki is disloyal, Mr. Speaker, are the same people who, Mr. Speaker, have opposed his defense of the same loyalty, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I am not here to mourn Professor Kindiki, but today, Mr. Speaker, I am here to mourn the Senate, not to praise it. Because today's business belongs, Mr. Speaker, to the annals of history's worst mistakes. And, Mr. Speaker, I say so because this House has had the move of the motion. The second of the motion, Mr. Speaker, included. They have over and over again argued, Mr. Speaker, and I wrote it somewhere, that It's about loyalty of the party. If this issue was about loyalty within Jubilee, why is NASA involving itself, Mr. Speaker, in enforcement of loyalty within Jubilee? Do you really think that our competitor, Mr. Speaker, would be so happy to participate in enforcing that loyalty? Mr. Speaker, it's not true. One thing that we decided in this House when we came to the floor of this House is that we were going to do everything humanly possible to ensure that we pull together to move this country forward. And so, Mr. Speaker, allow me 10 seconds to read this verse to Professor Kindiki. As the last, Mr. Speaker, has now known that I am the guy who posts and reads biblical verses. Mr. Speaker, Daniel 3:16-18, and I dedicate it to Professor Kindiki and all who are in his situation. It says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. And Professor Kindiki, verse 18, I emphasize. But even if it does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Mr. Speaker, okay. I wish Senator Kindiki the very best. He has a great future.
Okay.
And Mr. Speaker, the future is for those who are courageous enough to swim against the current. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Linturi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I say this is an historical moment in this country, in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, I'm here as Kindiki's brother, as Kindiki's closest neighbor, and I believe in good neighborliness, and I believe in the principle of being a brother's keeper. Mr. Speaker, let me remind Kindiki that when we were growing up and before we got circumcised, where I come from, there is a story that we were permanently being told and which was passed over to generations. That, Mr. Speaker, this country is a country of many tribes. And out of the tribes, Mr. Speaker, in this country, we were told, as you engage in relationships, as you go out there looking for a wife to marry, Mr. Speaker, you must be very careful where you are getting your girl from, because there are certain communities, or there are certain other areas in this country where you got a wife, and you are being told that the relationship can be almost predetermined and may not last long. For this matter, Mr. Speaker, this opportunity, this moment has given me an opportunity to remember that history. And that's why I want to remind Kindiki that time has come. Here we are, we were told, and culture is immutable. And when I remember that, I actually feel that how we wish we listened to our forefathers and engaged cautiously in all the kind of relationships that we get ourselves into, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, because it's And Mr. Speaker, let this not be a laughing matter, Mr. Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Because, Mr. Speaker, those people that have good memory of the history of this country, from the pre-independence times, I want to remind the country that first, Mr. Speaker, immediately after independence, and that's why I must speak passionately about this, the first political assassination was Ameru, General Baimungi. Mr. Speaker, where we are sitting today, if I got Senator Kangata correctly, this has no, the decision we are taking tonight has no basis or will not be decided on the basis of substance, the truth, and the evidence is a political decision. Political decisions have consequences. And because political decisions have consequences, we won't go by them. And Mr. Speaker, let me also say that as we look forward, we must be in a position to get more sober now and see how, in the contemplated constitutional reforms, if they will be coming, how we can be able to protect offices of parliament from external influence, because I believe this has given us an opportunity to reflect further on what we are doing. Mr. Speaker, allow me to tell Kindiki that don't be worried. Don't be worried. You are more popular today than you were yesterday in Meru. I can swear that, Mr. Speaker, when I go home tonight and appear in a station, the kind of confidence messages that the people are sending to us are greater than the lack of confidence that is being purported to have been the reason to why Kindiki has to go home. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not worried. We can remember history. And the next political assassination happening here is Kindiki, who is being assassinated by Jubilee Party that I think he has served with a lot of diligence. Allow me quote Professor Chinua Achebe in his book, Things Fall Apart. Mr. Speaker, Chinua Achebe said, "A man who calls his kinsmen to a feast does not do to save them from starving. They are food in their own homes. When we gather together in the moonlight village ground, it's not because the moon, we do not, or we can't see the moon from our compounds. We come together because it is good for kinsmen to do so." And Mr. Speaker, E2 Brutus, those are the ones attended by Julius Caesar in 44 BC upon his brutal stabbing 23 times by loyalists. The male nation as us. You too, Mr. Patelinda, you too, Mr. Jubilee, you have stabbed Mr. Kindiki. Rarely a single man done so much, so few. Professor fought for our party. Professor fought for our president. Professor helped us write our new constitution. And in fact, the Jubilee Manifesto. Mr. Speaker, it's a shameful moment in this house.
Okay. Your time is up. Just wind up.
1 minute, Mr. Speaker, remember, is my neighbor, and I have to talk to the people.
Okay.
And
okay. 1 minute. 1 minute.
I will beg you, Mr. Speaker, so that I conclude. It won't even be, a minute will not be over.
Use it well.
Yes. That so many men and women came to Twisters to commit absolute legality. Mr. Men, the champions of, when we are supposed to be champions of democracy, fairness, equity, and devolution, we've almost become the juntas of this period. Shame on us, shame to the Jubilee Party, and as you crucify our brother as a party leader, may you rest well in the notion that it was out our total hunger and refusal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Faki. Thank you, Senator.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa kiranja wa upande wa wengi katika bunge la Senate. Kwanza, kabla sijatoa hoja yangu Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kumsahihisha ndugu yangu Senator Mazao aliposema kwamba Professor Kindiki katika siasa alinoga. Nafikiri lengo lake ni kusema kwamba alilamba lolo, kwa sababu kunoga ni kufanya vizuri zaidi kuliko vile ambavyo yatarajiwa. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, niko hapa kwanza kusema kwamba ndugu yetu Professor Kindiki ni mtu mwenye tajiriba kubwa na ni mtu ambaye alifanya kazi yake kama naibu wa spika kwa uzoefu mwingi na vile vile pia kwa hikma kubwa, kwa sababu maamuzi aliyofanya ni maamuzi ambayo ni ya kuaminika na vile vile ameweza kutumika hata katika mahakama za nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi sote katika bunge hili, bali na wale wachache ambao wamekuja kama wabunge huru, tunadhaminiwa na vyama vya kisiasa. Na leo siasa inaweza kukukubali, kesho siasa ikakukataa. Kwa hivyo mswada huu hauna shaka kwamba lengo hapa ni la kisiasa, sio lengo la kuangalia kazi ya Seneta Kithure Kindiki ilikuwa namna gani katika bunge la Senate. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba lazima tumpe faraja ndugu yetu Kindiki kwamba ameweza kufanya kazi vizuri, na sasa imefika wakati wa kurudi awe kama wasisi maseneta wengine ambao ni maseneta ambao tunahudumu, na mwisho wa kwisho tunakwenda kwetu na watu wetu wanafurahia kazi zetu. Na nina hakika mimi Seneta Kithure atakuwa mtu mwenye kutupa msaada mkubwa katika majadiliano atakayoendelea katika bunge hili kuliko vile alivyokuwa katika kiti cha naibu wa spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba chama kikikosa imani na wewe, ni kwamba sisi kama maseneta tunaokaa katika bunge hili hatuna njia nyingine ya kuepukana na swala kama hilo. Chama ndio ambacho vinatudhamini, na chama kikiwa hakina imani na maana kwamba muda wako wa kuhudumu katika nyadhifa ambao umepewa na chama umeweza kuisha, hata kama ulichaguliwa na kura katika bunge hili. Na ningependa kuwakosoa wale ambao wamezungumza mbeleni hapa wakasema kwamba maamuzi yamefanywa mahali pengine. Ni kweli hata wakati uchaguzi wa Mheshimiwa Spika na naibu wake na wenye viti wa kamati mbalimbali ulipofanya mara ya kwanza, uliamuliwa mahali pengine. Kuna ndugu zetu hapa walikuwa wanataka kupiga kura upande wetu, lakini wakasema uamuzi umefanywa, kwa hivyo sisi hatuwezi kwenda kinyume na uamuzi ule. Kwa hivyo hili sio jambo la kwanza. Ni kwamba sisi kwenda mbele, yani siku za useme, ni kwamba kutoka mwanzo tukatae maamuzi yanayoamuliwa sehemu ambayo sisi maseneta hatuko. Tukikataa kufanywa maamuzi mahali pengine, ndio tutaweza kuipa seneti hii nguvu ya kusimama alipopote na kutetea haki ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Bila hivyo itakuwa ni mambo ya ile Kiingereza tunaita musical chairs. Leo inapigwa kwa huyu, kesho inapigwa kwa huyu, kesho inapigwa kwa yule, na hakuna njia ambayo tutaweza kujitetea. Kwa hivyo sisi Waswahili tunasema muungwana akivuliwa nguo huinama. Nitamalizia hapo Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante, naunga mkono hoja hii.
Senator Langat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to make my contribution into this particular motion. First, Mr. Speaker, may I say that if in future there will be such an arrangement for a special sitting like this, some considerations must be put in place. For example, the arrangement today never considered people with physical challenges like Senator Musuruve, who is really struggling with the stairs and the sitting position in the other side. We have seen her down there with a lot of sympathy, and I would like to call upon those who will make such arrangements in future to consider such situations. To come to this particular point, motion, Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me also to congratulate Senator Professor Kindiki. I've known Kindiki for a long time. We taught together for around 5 years in Moi University. He's a competent professor. I've been touched by what I'm seeing in social media from his former students. It is very encouraging, Professor Kindiki. I want to say that whatever it will happen will not mark the end of what God has predestined for your life. I want to say that the evidence that have been laid before this particular house, or the accusation against you, I heard when I was down there, that one is failure to attend a meeting during this particular challenging period of COVID-19. I also failed to reach the meeting because I got a message very late at midnight, and I was in the interior of Bomet. So I could not make it. I don't know the circumstances that prevail so much that you could not attend the meeting, but I want to say more consideration should have been put in place when calling such particular meeting. So I want to say also, Mr. Speaker, that you have been accused of being independent-minded. And outside there, you are getting more praises than we are doing here. It is good to be independent-minded despite the circumstances that are prevailing. And also you've been accused for making rulings that might not have been favorable to the executive or to our party Jubilee. But they have been favorable to Kenyans. That is my happiness. So I want to say that, Professor, because my time is getting out, I want to say we thank you for being principled. That is number one. As a scholar myself, I want to thank you for standing firm and representing the scholars, that they can be dependable, they are competent, and so forth. I want also to say that I want to encourage the young scholars, or the young senators. Research has proven very well that experience can be challenged through research. So do not be intimidated by people who have been here for a long time. Their experiences, sometimes some people are experienced in wrongdoings. So experience needs to be divine. So I want to say, Kindiki, I want to quote a verse for you. If you read Romans chapter 8, verses 28, it reads that all things happen for the good of those who are with God. Don't worry. I don't know if it has been predestined that you will remain or you will go. I don't know. But whatever it will come out thereafter, I want to say, Mr. Kindiki, stand strong. And I want to say, I don't want to be, give me 1 minute, one second, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that where we came from together in the scholarly world, philosophy has it that logical premises leads to logical conclusion. So these people, I've heard them praising you, you are a good man, you are competent, but they beg to do what? To support a motion. I am different. You are competent, you are balanced, you are wonderful Deputy Speaker, and I want to say, if I say I support this motion, then I am supporting the opposite, which is mediocrity. So I oppose this particular motion strongly if we are to adhere to competence and being principled. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Malala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I walked down the memory lane 4 years ago, I was facing the same challenges Professor Kindiki is facing today. It will be inscribed in history of Kenya that I was the first deputy speaker to be elected in Kakamega County Assembly, and in the whole country, I was the first deputy speaker to be impeached. So as I'm seated here, I looked straight into the eyes of Professor Kindiki. I empathized with him, but all I can tell you, Prof, it's going to be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. Mr. Speaker, the competency of Professor Kindiki cannot be questioned. I nostalgically remember how he authoritatively took control of this House with his authoritative voice. Order, order, Senator Malala. But that is that. This is a political process. What the good professor did not know or did not read in his books of philosophy is that this is a political process which has been initiated by his party Jubilee. All I have to say, Mr. Speaker, to my good friend Professor, is that we loved you, but Jubilee Party loved you more. I support this motion. Thank you.
Senator Ephraim Maina.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the very beginning, Mr. Speaker, you actually advised us that we were not impeaching anybody. And the matter in front of us is a matter for us to make a decision, but we were not impeaching anybody. Therefore, regarding all the attributes, correct ones that have been given to our brother Kindiki, that stands. And I don't think anybody in question, there is any question. But Mr. Speaker, we all know, and we must all realize, that in the world we live is a world of virtues, it's a world of tradition, and law counts just at the end, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have the situation that these positions originate from a political process. They originate from a political party. And Mr. Speaker, that is really the beginning of anybody gunning for a position, even for elective positions. You begin with a political party, Mr. Speaker. And this is no different from other organizations. For example, religious organizations. You have the Catholic Church. And I want to say, nobody will ever question when in the Catholic Church, a father is moved from point A to point B. Mr. Speaker, this matter came out of a political process, and I think a lot of time has been spent laboring on the very good attributes of the able lawyer, Professor Kindiki. Having been a professor, I have no doubt that he is a very excellent lawyer. But Mr. Speaker, you said it very early that nobody, that was never really the issue that we were to adjudicate. We have a matter here regarding the issue of the virtues of the political party, and Mr. Speaker, this is what we are coming to. And the question is whether do we go with what the political party is actually aligning itself, or do we come here in this Senate and start discussing how political parties should behave themselves? I don't think that is our job at all. And Mr. Speaker, let nobody, all the adjectives that have been used to assert even kind of a bad tribute to this House. We have had all kinds of attributes. And Mr. Speaker, if there was a way some of these tributes could be erased, because they don't hold. This is a house of honor. Mr. Speaker, truly, this is a house of honor. And the tributes some tributes have been made. I think emotions have run higher than normal today. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would beseech you that if you had power, some of these remarks are emotional and they should not be appearing in a hazard unless they appear as an appendix. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, this is a house of honor, and the discussion we are holding is a discussion of honor. The issue is, one should look at it that it's a political process from a political party. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say, having looked at it, we all came here through a political party. The positions that most people hold them through a political process from their political parties as the sponsors. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt to say, when I say I support this motion and I will support it, nobody should be saying that as such a great professor, you should not have said this and this. No, he's a great professor, and that stands. But what we are adjudicating, I support because it concerns a political party, and the political party has its own tradition and virtues which must be followed. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Maina, where I come from, when there is somebody has died, you say people mourn anyhowly. You mourn in whatever manner. So we cannot suppress those who want to express themselves in a particular manner. In the interest of time, I'm going to limit those to speak because of also the curfew. Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you. And to my honorable colleagues from the both sides of the aisle, and to the future generation who we are bequeathing this world to, I have this to say. Party loyalty versus meritocracy are two very different things. Today, my dear brother, the man I respect a lot, Professor Kindiki Kithure, we're here to discuss the issue of party loyalty, not your competence. I have sat on this chair and listened to you, give your rulings, which are well thought out, and your competency can never be questioned. The issue at hand here is an issue that has been brought by your party in regards to your loyalty to that party. My brother, you and I go through the same challenges when my party loyalty was being questioned. And I stand here to say that I'm fully loyal to my party, ODM. I have been a loyal member of that party, ODM. And my party leader have been informed by other squatters. I call them squatters because they are not even people who have homes, that I was disloyal to the party. That is not true. My brother, you know, if it is a matter of democracy, democracy for me, and the defense of democracy, is a matter of life and death for me. But in this case, it's a party loyalty issue. My dear brother, your goose is cooked. The best you can do is to leave and fight another day. The fight that I'm personally going through, which has brought a lot of questions, is what I want to share with you so that you know you're not alone in this fight. And to the people of Tharaka Nithi, I want to plead to the people of Tharaka Nithi to continue supporting the process of democracy that brought you into this house. Because when we come into this house, we are given opportunities to serve as committee chairs, as deputy speakers. In fact, if you remember, my dear brother, when you were elected, I was your competitor. You won, and I shook your hand and I said, congratulations. So life has ways of teaching us. Party loyalty, some may argue that it might reduce the greatest to a mere, to the mere masses. But these are things which are there in history that we cannot change. So to end, I don't subscribe to the school of thought that says that we should blindly respect our parties because of democracy. But when a party has made a decision, there's nothing that we in this house can be able to do to be able to save you. If my party made a decision to de-whip me, whether or not I put a fight, the only thing that I can tell the party is that I am loyal to that party. And I will stay in that party to fight from within for my position. Because I believe that the people of Narok who elected me here did so because of merit, but not because of mediocrity. So I want to tell you, my brother, that it's going to be well. You know, these are positions we are given. And I've come to learn that politics is a really dirty game. It is a dirty game. So to end, I end with these two words: meritocracy versus political party loyalty. It's something that all of us must define in the future. Are we elected because of merit or because of our loyalty to the party? In this case, it is because of our loyalty to the party that we are given that chance to serve. So my dear brother, and I want to assure my party leader that despite all the rumors you're getting, I am loyal to the core. And the people of Narok remain loyal. My brother, I'll pray for you.
Senator Wambua.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
What's your point of order, Senator Dulo, as Wambua approaches?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 106, I would request, because of the interest of time, to limit the time of talking to 2 minutes. I thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What's your point of order, Senator Haji?
I support what Senator Fatuma Dula is saying. Some of us are fasting, Mr. Speaker. Many of you are eating and drinking. So please reduce the number of people who are contributing their time to 2 minutes.
Okay, we have very few interests which will all be accommodated, so we have only about 2 or 3, then the leaders. So, Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to make a contribution to this motion on the removal of Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki from the position of Deputy Speaker of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. The Speaker, the mover of this motion, the Majority Leader, Senator Kangata, the Whip, Majority Whip, has tabled what he believes to be the grounds for the removal of Senator Kindiki. Mr. Speaker, of all the grounds that he has tabled, the Senator of Kitui will be guided by the ground of the fact that the appointing party has lost confidence in Kithure Kindiki, Senator, as Deputy Speaker. The Speaker, there is no amount of debate on the floor of this chamber that can fix that relationship issue. It's a relationship between the Senator and the leadership, the top leadership of Jubilee. The Speaker, what we're being called upon to do today is to make a political decision. And for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, that decision will be made. When debate on this motion began, Mr. Speaker, I listened to our senior senators, our leaders, our lawyers, arguing and debating on the application and interpretation of the law in regard to the removal of the Deputy Speaker. But the Speaker, even those of us who are not lawyers, we know very well that you cannot use general provisions of the law to make a decision on a matter for which there are specific provisions. So, Mr. Speaker, Article 106 will apply on this one. But more so, Mr. Speaker, I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that the decision that will be made on the fate of Professor Kithure Kindiki has got nothing to do with his competence or performance on the chair. In fact, Mr. Speaker, and I want to support the contribution by Nairobi Senator Sakaja, that the Majority Whip did not do a very good job at the moving of this motion. When you want to tell this House and this country that one of the reasons why you want to remove the Deputy Speaker is on account of a decision he made on the chair, the Speaker, that will set a very bad precedent. That future speakers will be looking over their shoulders before they make any decision. Decisions that are made on the floor of this House are Senate decisions. They are not decisions of an individual speaker or an individual senator. The Speaker, having said that, I would want to specifically speak to my brother, my neighbor, Senator Kindiki. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse number 15, God asks a very difficult question. Can a mother forget a suckling child, that she may have no compassion on the son of her own womb? And the Bible says, yes, but I will never forget you. The Speaker, and to my brother, Senator Kithure Kindiki, it doesn't matter what the outcome of this process is. God will never forget you, and he will never forsake you. I say this, Mr. Speaker, because I served in the same Christian Union at Moi University with Senator Kithure Kindiki. He was a senior leader of the Christian Union as a member of the care group, and I know his faith and trust in God. My brother, we will have to do what we'll have to do, but God still remains on the throne. The Speaker, I support.
Senator Professor Ongeri as Senator Cheriot approaches.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I speak, if I may have any little experience to give to a very distinguished scholar at the university, let me do it now. We all serve and have served in various capacities, whether appointed capacities as a minister or elective positions. Doesn't matter what it is, you all the time serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. Any indication that there is no confidence in you in itself calls upon a very quick meditation on what you should do about that event. And many times I've escaped the wrath of a very ruthless decision, because when I considered all things, I said sometimes it's better to move aside and allow certain things happen, because when they happen, you are vindicated in the future. I've lost elections 3 times because people told me you did not perform well. And 4 times I've been elected back to power. That in itself is a very humbling experience. There was a time when there was a change of leadership in the party hierarchy, and the man I loved so much, the late President Moi, said it's time to change the format. Professor Saitoti was the vice president. He was the vice chairman of the party, KANU. And when the change came, we accepted it gracefully. In the end, Professor Saitoti ended up being the vice president of President Moi until he decided to leave at the other time when he joined the other party. So don't compare the academia with the political games. These are 2 different worlds altogether. If I were you, I would not listen to the kind of heavy messages being told you move on, move on, move on. move on. Because after this debate, I dare say, Professor Kindiki, that you will be on your own. And that's the time you will know those who are pushing you, they will be miles away. Miles and miles away. My only simple advice, that accept the challenge that has been put before you gracefully and take the opportunity at some stage to meet the party boss, and reconciliations are possible. If we were able to reconcile in 2007, 2008, in very acrimonious elections, why can't a simple matter like this one you reconcile? Party loyalty is critical to anything else, even if you think internally that you are right. But when it comes what the party wants to tell you to do, I think you should do it. You can query it internally and be able to raise issues that you might have wanted to raise internally. But when it comes to the public domain, I think you must not give an opportunity to your enemies to push you to the limit, because I call them your enemies because they will push you to the limit. At the end of it all, they will leave you hanging. I think my advice would be, take this gracefully, because it's a decision of confidence. It has nothing to do with qualities. It's that the party has no confidence in you, and a motion has been brought before this House, and the only reason why it is before this House is that because when you were elected, your name was proposed unanimously from a Jubilee party, and this side, we had no option except to support you. Now, similarly, your own party has now suggested that they have no confidence in you. And I think if I were you, if I had an opportunity to talk to you earlier, the best course of action would have been for you to resign. But I didn't have that opportunity, but I can still offer you that opportunity by saying, accept this decision gracefully so that you can move on for better things. I support the motion.
Senator Chariot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Mr. Speaker, I oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, celebrated Senegalese author Osman Sembene, while writing in his book, Hala, speaks of the importance of African leadership and gives it as an example that it is based on our inability to focus on what is essential, but our legendary desire to always be preoccupied with trivialities, that Africa is what it is today. Mr. Speaker, if a visitor were to visit Nairobi and were to be informed that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is meeting this afternoon, and they were given the question, why do you think the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is meeting? They would perhaps think that we are meeting as a reaction to the pleadings that were made by the Council of Governors Chair, Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, 3 days ago, reminding the country that up to this point as we speak, our county governments are yet to be furnished with funds to fight the COVID challenge that this country is facing. Or perhaps you will be told that this Senate is meeting to consider and try and establish the truth of the veracity of the claims that were made in the local dailies recently, that up to 358 billion of taxpayers' money that should have been used to fight this particular menace has been stashed away. Or even a simpler reason, Mr. Speaker, that we are just trying to brainstorm on how we can cushion our citizens during this difficult time. But lo and behold, Mr. Speaker, you will be told that you are meeting to discuss the conduct of a deputy speaker who failed to attend a meeting. Therefore, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is gathered. Who cast us Africans, Mr. Speaker? What is our problem? Why do we ridicule the people that send us to this house? If we had this same amount of energy and vigor that we are displaying this afternoon, then this house, Mr. Speaker, should have concluded the bill that was generated here more than a month ago. on various responses to the challenges of COVID that are being faced by the various citizens that we represent in this house. But it is what it is, Mr. Speaker. That's why we are gathered. I want to speak to my friend, Professor Kithure Kindiki, and ask him to take heart and stay strong. Remember the words of the late Maya Angelou, the American poet, that don't make it your life mission to survive, but seek to thrive. Senator Kithure Kindiki, you have sought to thrive. Many will make the decision today that is convenient for them to survive politically, but you have chosen to thrive. I stand with you, my brother. Finally, in concluding, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues, because you've had long lectures about political party loyalty, be loyal to the party leader. Read Article 91 of our Constitution before you sleep tonight, fellow senators, on what is a political party. I argue today before this House, Mr. Speaker, that a political party is not the party leader. When you disagree with the party leader, you have not disagreed with your party. And that is a mistake of Kithure Kindiki. Read, understand that a political party is about good governance. It's about the ideals of democracy. Go further and read Article 91 too, that in this country it is against the law to form a political party along the ideals of religion. I weep, Mr. Speaker, because what has befallen my party, Jubilee, is that it has become a religious cult, where if you disagree with the party leader, you are called a heathen and thrown out. That is what is happening to Kithure Kindiki, and it's against the law. We need to be sincere to ourselves and rise to the occasion as a house. Speak to the true ideals of democracy and say that enough is enough. If we believe that we are a house that is founded on truth, founded on all the ideals of democracy, you cannot support such a motion. Don't give us excuses and say, oh, political party loyalty. There is nowhere that shows that Kindiki has absconded his duties as a Jubilee senator. Senator Kindiki, walk proud and tall. I can assure you, because I know the pulse of the membership of Jubilee, the more than 8 million members of a Jubilee party, if a vote were to be taken today, they will stand with you and tell you that you're on the right path. Speak truth to power and stay true. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kinyua. Is Senator Kinyua near here?
Speaker, hoja ya nidhamu tafadhali.
What's your point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Bwana Speaker, kwa heshima na taadhima kuu ya Senate, nilikuwa nauliza tu kwamba ikiwa tunaweza kutafakari habari ya tuko katika pia mwezi wa Ramadhani, na tuko na dada zetu na ndugu zetu wa Kiislamu, ambapo hivi sasa pia tuko na mzee wetu hapa ndani, mzee Haji, ambaye babangu mimi. Na ingekuwa pengine tungefupisha ama tungesema huyu awe wa mwisho, ili tupate nafasi, wapate nafasi ya kuweza kwenda katika msikiti kuomba, alafu waende wakachukue futari, wafungue mwadhini.
Nakuelewa sana, huyo ndiye atakuwa.
Nakusihi sana Bwana Speaker, tupunguze tafadhali.
Nimekuelewa, huyo ndiye atakuwa mwisho, tutasikia za kutoka kwa
Shukran Bwana Speaker.
Kindiki na viongozi wa Senate. Senator Kinyua.
Asante Bwana Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii. Siku ya leo itabaki katika kumbukumbu ya historia, kwa sababu mimi nimesikiza kwa marefu na mapana. Nikasikiza hoja yenyewe, tuhuma zilizoletwa kwa naibu wa Speaker, nikaziweka mizani Bwana Speaker. Mizani tuhuma pamoja na utendaji kazi wake. Ukweli usemwe, kwa sababu Mswahili anasema mngala muue na haki umpe. Kazi aliyoifanya ukiweka katika mizani inaonekana ni kazi ambayo sisi wenyewe, mswada huu nikiufuatilia vizuri, mimi Bwana Speaker nataka kuupinga leo, kesho na hata milele. Kwa sababu huo ndio ukweli. Ukweli unapaswa usemwe, kwa sababu yeye ameongoza hapa akiwa amekalia kiti hicho, na ameleta tabasamu badala ya magawanyiko katika seneti hii yetu. Ikifika sisi wenyewe badala ya kumpa kongoya, nilidhania leo tunakuja kumpa kongela kwa kazi nzuri aliyofanya na pongezi. Nasikia viongozi wenzangu maseneta wanapoongea wanampaka mafuta kwa